Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Frew. I want to welcome you to today's live recruiting webinar with ABL. I'm the CEO of Workforce Genetics and BioBuzz, and we are excited to host ABL today for this great event and to host all of you to get to know the amazing team that we have here online with ABL, their company and their amazing culture. They've been a pillar of the Maryland biotech community for many years. So we're excited for you to hear their story and all the exciting things they have going on these days. Before we get started, just want to do a little bit of housekeeping. First, a little bit about BioBuzz. BioBuzz, we're fully committed to the Maryland biotech workforce. Our mission is to create exceptional experiences that better connect you, the workforce, with amazing companies like ABL, and vice versa, connect them with you. So these virtual recruiting events are a great example of that. Today, during the pandemic we're all living through, we all wish we could be in person, but in lieu of that, these are great opportunities for you to get to know the companies in our region, such as ABL, and vice versa, for them to get to know you. So please check us out after the event at www.biobuzz.io. We'll be covering a lot of what ABL is doing after this event and into 2021 to continue to cover all the exciting things happening there. So a couple other housekeeping items. First, this event is being recorded, so you will all receive a copy of this after the event once it's fully produced. Secondly, I'm sure a lot of you have questions, and that's great because that's what this is all about. So if you would please use the Q&A app that's at the bottom. There's two features you'll see, a chat box and then an option for Q&A. We'd like you to use the Q&A so we can make sure we manage the questions and get as many of them answered as we can. The team at ABL and BioBuzz will be monitoring them, so to be sure that your input's being tracked and will be answered. The chat is a great way to introduce yourself, to connect with other attendees, and to make comments about the topics that are being covered. So we encourage you to engage with us and engage with the team on the chat as well. Lastly, we're going to be releasing a couple polls during the event, so please take a couple minutes during the event to answer the polls and give some feedback. We'd really like to hear your feedback during the event and how things are going. Lastly, we will be leaving some time at the end, and Diana will be and myself will be helping to cover some questions that you have during the event and making sure they're answered. So with that housekeeping out of the way, I'd like to turn it over to Jarlath Keating to introduce himself and kick off the webinar.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Chris, for giving us the introduction, and again, thank you to BioBuzz for actually organising this event for us. We're very happy to partner with your organisation, and hopefully this will be a very meaningful and impactful 45 minutes or so. So I'd like to introduce myself first. My name is Jarlath Keating. I am the CEO and President of Advanced Bioscience Laboratories, or ABL as we'll refer to it going forward. And I've been with the ABL organization for around 2.5 years now. Prior to that, I've worked in the biotech and the biopharma industry really for about 25 years. My responsibility spans global ABL. We have facilities here in Rockville, Maryland, but we also have facilities in Europe, in France, where I also ultimately have responsibility for that organization as well. So let me describe a little bit about who ABL is. ABL is a contract research, contract testing, and contract development and manufacturing organization. We're focusing very much on infectious disease research, research into other disease states. We are very involved in the development and manufacturing of gene therapy, viral vectors, oncolytic vaccines, gene therapies, etc. And we also have a contract testing capability that focuses really on immunobiology. And we're serving a whole plethora of different customers. The customers that we serve span the biotechnology industry, the biopharma marketplace, and we also have a very long and high pedigree relationship with the US government. We've worked with the NIH and many other government agencies over the decades that ABL has been in existence. So again, we cover a broad range of different customer sets in the healthcare sector of the marketplace. So who are we? What is our vision? Well, simply put, ABL's vision is to enable our customers to conquer the world's most challenging diseases. Imagine a scenario where things like HIV, cancer, neurological diseases don't exist anymore. They can be treated, they can be cured. And simply put, that is ABL's mission and vision. Partner with our customers, work with them to develop new, exciting therapeutics to ultimately conquer these devastating diseases. We all know people who have had these types of maladies, and that's our goal, and that's what brings us into work every day. That vision is also shared by our owner. So ABL is a privately owned organization. We are owned by Institut Mérieux, which is a privately owned French-based organization who have a very significant footprint in the healthcare industry. It's over $3 billion organization. We are owned by this organization, and that gives us a significant amount of horsepower, a lot of stability as an organization, and it also allows us to tap into the infrastructure within the other companies owned by Institut Mérieux. So a very beneficial relationship with our owner. So today, you're going to hear from a lot of ABL staff members. These individuals are going to participate. They're going to provide you with a lot of information on who ABL is, what they do, why they do it, talk to the culture of our business. And this is an extremely talented team. And I'm really pleased that they've been able to show up today, come in and create additional value for the ABL organization. And that's really what it's all about. It's creating that value, having that impact, making a difference, and ultimately serving our customers so that we can help them serve their customers who are ultimately patients that need life-saving therapies. So if you're interested in making a difference, if you're interested in coming into an organization and wanting to have an impact every day, then I encourage you to listen to what my colleagues have to say. We'll be delighted to take questions from all of you as we go through the next 45 minutes or so. And I'd like to thank you for your time and attention. And most importantly, I hope you enjoy the next session. So thank you very much. And I'm going to hand over to my colleague, I believe, Stephen. And Stephen's going to introduce himself and talk a little bit about what he does on a day-to-day basis at ABL. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charlie. I really appreciate that introduction to ABL, and it is quite on point from everything I'm observing as a team member at ABL. My name is Stephen Jackson. That's Stephen M. Jackson, not to be confused with the basketball player that's out there. But I am a staff scientist here at ABL, and I'm particularly involved in management and training in the immunology department. Why I like ABL and why it really stands out to me from my many years of experience in CRO, contract work, and other locations. What I really love about ABL is it's a combination of at least 4 major things. One of those, first and foremost, is we get the job done. I'm an A-type personality. I like to come in, find out what the mission is, and get it done. We absolutely do that. But we know that a key to that is to actually understand the science behind the projects that we're doing. And that's not often appreciated enough, in my particular opinion. But here at ABL, we're encouraged to be scientists who are doing science to accomplish the mission. And one of those elements means that we get to interact heavily with our clients. We form a team with them. So again, it's coming in, finding out what the mission is, and having that personal one-on-one type of dynamic. We love to be part of what questions are being asked, and how can we find the best way to get the appropriate data to answer those questions accurately. If done right, we can do it in the first round. So efficiency is key. And so towards that brings us to the 4th point, which is we really care about training. I played football in high school, college. I ran track, basketball, I golf, I do everything. So I love to train. And at ABL, we know that getting the job done means that we're properly equipped to do that job. And time is spent making sure each team member is well equipped and well prepared to do that job. And that's part of my responsibilities at ABL. And one of the things about our immunology department that really stands out is that we are each immunologists, and we're coming from different angles. So myself, I'm a B-cell immunologist through and through, understanding the molecular dynamics of antibodies, how they're diversified, processed, how we produce them, how we manufacture them. We also have those on the team who are specialists in T cells. We also pay attention to dendritic cells and different monocytes, all key players in a holistic immune response. And that immune response overlaps with other fields such as oncology. So we're well suited to take care of many of the immunological assays and many things that we find not just in the preclinical field, but in the clinical field. And as we can see in today's times, clinical trials are quite important. So we're well suited to do that. And we as immunologists are in a very exciting position here. So we love to pay attention to the actual science, dig deep into the actual questions, have pinpoint conversations with our teammates, who we also somewhat call clients, and find the best data, hopefully the first time around. That's what we strive for. And that takes proper training. So I come in each day, enjoying my job, look forward to interacting with you. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please reach out to me directly or to anyone who's a part of this conversation here, and we'll direct your questions appropriately. So I'd like to get ready to pass that on to our next teammate. We'll be taking you through.
All right. Thank you, Stephen, for this, this very interesting introduction of your work. Hello, everyone. First of all, my name is Isabel. I am a staff scientist here at ABL. I am in the group of process development. I have been here for about 2.5 years. And I have to say that working for ABL for me was a very good decision. And for me, ABL is just the right size of organization. It's not too big, not too small. So the work is not boring in the end, and you really feel that you can make a difference. Also, part of the process development group, the scope of work that we get is very diverse. So that keeps the interest in the work. It's never boring. Each client brings a different process. And every client has its own needs. What kind of optimization, what kind of studies do they need to perform? And I get to use my skills and my expertise, but also along the way, I get to learn. And that's what keeps me going. It's always something new. There's always something I need to tackle. And one thing also that is I find very important is that it's been mentioned before. We work in teams, whether it's within the PD group or the process development group, or within cross-functional groups inside the organization. We're never alone on the project. So that's great, because you can bounce your idea, you can make sure that you're doing the right thing, do it right the first time. And that's makes the environment so much great or fun, because you get to interact with manufacturing, I get to interact with quality departments, facilities, purchasing, et cetera, so that you get a global view of how everybody works and how this organization works. And everyone is also in the same I would say, minds. They set their mind to help out other people, and they're easy to reach. So if I need to tech transfer a process to manufacturing, for example, I know I can reach the people in manufacturing and initiate that tech transfer. It becomes so much easier. So if I have questions, they're here to answer. I need to get constant feedback from them, because as process development right before manufacturing, I need to know what's possible over there. What can I do? I don't want to come up with a process and optimize it till the end and then realize that it's not possible to do that in manufacturing. So it's important to get feedback from them, and it's the communication is also key to this to work well. And if everybody's been doing a good job to increase and keep that communication level. So, and at the end, everybody benefits from that type of approach, the teamwork. It's beneficial for me in my work to get done what I need to do, but also for the clients, and ultimately in the end, that benefits from that teamwork. Everybody coming together, everybody, you know, is working with them for them. So, and in the end, yeah, it makes like some sort of an ideal job. I would say I'm very happy to be part of the ABL group and family, and they are for sure. And now, and in these times of COVID, very supportive of remote work, which I appreciate. So whenever we can, we are encouraged to do remote work, which is essential in this time. So I'm looking forward to connect with everyone who would be having questions about what I do in process development group. And at the end of this event, I'll be available as well. That probably wraps it up for me. So I will, I'm going to hand it on over to Tim.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Isabel. My name is Tim Fouts. I'm the Vice President for Innovation and Translation here at ABL. Now, my group is kind of interesting. We have two roles. The first role we have is to identify and develop new service offerings or platforms for the company in collaboration with our other groups within ABL, our manufacturing group, innovation, or immunology group. And that could be a variety of things, including new manufacturing platforms, analytical tools, or whatever. And the second is to manage a portfolio of government contracts that ABL has been awarded. Now, ABL has a long tradition, as Jarlik indicated, of working with the government. Now, this may sound a little on the boring side, but these government contracts allow ABL to position itself in a unique position. We get to help innovators with cutting-edge gene therapy and vaccine products, and our job with these situations is to bring their crown jewels, their unique, innovative products through the initial stages of clinical development. That can include, GMP manufacturing, clinical testing, GLP safety testing, or some other piece of their product development that is required to bring their product to fruition. The innovators that come to us through these government opportunities are ones that have exceptionally innovative concepts that often are not of a great interest to the investment community, but have an enormous potential for having a public health impact. And that's probably one of the most important things that we do, is we help them at this early stage. We help them when, in some cases, some people don't necessarily believe in those products. Now, and the government does, because they're in a position to make this initial investment. Now, what excites me about working at ABL is that we get to work with some of these cutting edge products. And I can get to engage in some of these scientists who have developed these products. Now, very few companies in our marketplace have this or maintain a mix of government and commercial clients as part of their business model. And the reason this is important is because a lot of times these, as I mentioned before, these early stage products, these most cutting edge products, are often things that the general investment community says, not interested in, but they have the potential of having a huge impact. And this is where the government decides to make an investment, and this is where ABL comes to help them. I think everybody's probably often heard that the initial stages of clinical development is often called the Valley of Death. If you excuse the alliteration, sort of a Mordor of bringing products forward. Where ABL does is help them bring that product forward. You heard Isabel talk about the process development, that early stage, that finding a way to make their product, to get it done, to get it through. And that's where we come in, is in those early stages. And I think oftentimes the innovators don't really appreciate how difficult that can be and what it takes to do that. But we bring that expertise to the table, and the government, through some of these government opportunities, or in some cases, early stage commercial opportunities. So ABL is a group that works in this early stage, this valley of death, to bring these products forward, and as Charlotte indicated, to help change the world, to bring some of these important products to fruition to help cure some of these diseases. And you've heard some of my partners here, Steve and Isabel, to help us in this endeavor. And this is also the big reason why I come to ABL every day, is because we work with some great people, some great ideas, who are really interested in changing things, making things better, curing people from their diseases. And this is our role, is to help bring those products forward, and this is where we play. Now I want to introduce Tom Montague, my partner in this endeavor, who without his help my job would be literally impossible. Tom?
Well, thank you, Tim, for that introduction. I'm Tom Montague, the Director of Quality Assurance here at ABL, and I echo Tim's statements about how what we do impacts human health here. And ABL, over the past several decades, they focus their efforts on partnering with both the government and commercial clients. Most of them are very small in nature, to develop their clinical trial materials in support of phase 1 and phase 2 clinical trials. We work extensively with Tim and his teams, as well as from the manufacturing groups, to bring those products to the marketplace, to our clients, with an emphasis on quality. Patient quality and safety is paramount here, and the quality assurance group oversees the manufacturing and quality control activities here, to assure at the end of the day, when we're putting our signature on our certificates of compliance and certificates of analysis, that these are high quality, safe products that can be used in clinical trials. In 2020, this year, we've begun our journey to support phase 3 in commercial manufacturing. And as a result, we're improving our quality systems to support this initiative. And it's a pretty dynamic, high energy environment. And our QA team, as well as the rest of ABL, is expanding. And that's the reason why we are working with Chris in this BioBuzz event. As far as what we're looking for, we're looking for staff that they're committed to manufacturing and testing, providing high quality and safe products that are used by patients and clinical trial participants around the world. Some of the trials that we work with Tim's group within the military involve clinical trials in Europe as well as Africa. So it's also understanding those regulatory requirements and working with our manufacturing partners around the world to support providing those materials for clinical trials. We're also looking for folks that are going to hold themselves to high standards of excellence. And then we want them to also partner with our other functions to maintain that high level of excellence and that compliance to regulations. In order for us to be successful, in order to provide high quality products on time to our clients to support their schedules for their clinical trials, we need to do the job right the first time. One of the other things, and actually it's also a benefit too, is one of the things we like to do is we develop and maintain working relationships with our internal and external customers. Isabel is a customer to quality. Tim is a customer to quality. Stephen is a customer to quality, as well as our commercial and government clients. One of the biggest benefits I've seen out of this is building and maintaining that positive relationships over the years with clients. We see clients where people come and go, but it's maintaining that long-term relationship, helping them to succeed if they have a tight timeline. We can quickly respond to their requests and provide these materials and services to meet their needs. The other thing that we're always looking for, and within quality, it's one of my main drivers, is I want to see people develop their skills and knowledge for future roles within QA or even outside of QA. QA prefers to promote from within, and we've been very successful in developing our staff to train. We've had multiple individuals, in spite of COVID, this year, that have gone through and achieved various ASQ certifications. We fully support that. We have a large training budget. Unfortunately, COVID has had an impact on the ability to train external, so there's been much more in the way of virtual training, but our focus is really on developing you for your next roles, whether it's in QA or manufacturing or even outside of ABL. And the other thing I'll say QA does a very good job at is we have fun. While we're making a difference, we also have fun. There are pictures of our team. We're dressed up as crayons, or we are a food-loving group. So there's always something to nibble on in QA. So, but we have, even in spite of COVID, we'll have virtual lunch meetings where we just get together and have talk. We don't want to talk about work. I mean, we want to talk about how each other is doing, how their family's doing, and that's really important for us. It's about developing that relationship, that family that can support each other when maybe the day isn't the greatest that we're having, and we can rely on our other folks to support us. So right now we're looking for staff in commercial and client QA that provide QA support for client projects. We're looking in quality systems for documentation control and QA on the floor. And we're also looking for positions in supplier management. And we're going to have additional roles in next year. As we expand and we identify the need for additional staff, we will continue to add that staff. I think one of the greatest benefits, I hate to say this, I've been doing this for over 30 years in this industry. One of the things I enjoy most about ABL is that ability to work with the clients and build and maintain that relationship with clients. They're addressing some of the most challenging diseases out there, and we have an opportunity to directly impact how they can be successful. Seeing when they're seeing the drug product that we make going into a clinical trial, or seeing an IND being accepted by the FDA, provides an enormous amount of satisfaction to all of us at ABL. And I would say, if you're interested in joining, your contributions may ultimately result in approval of a drug that may be used by you, a family member, or a friend. So take the time, look at the opportunities that we have available, and reach out to us. And we look forward to speaking with you. I'll pass this over to Jennifer Derry now, who works within our project management group. And thank you for participating today.
Thank you, Tom. Hello, everybody. My name is Jennifer, as Tom had introduced. I am one of the many program managers here at ABL, and I am very proud to say I am a boomerang employee, as I like to call myself. I was here long time ago as a quality system specialist, and I have returned to ABL as a program manager. My day at ABL is not quiet. It is very exciting. It gives me a very different set of experience. I am one of the newest additions to ABL from among the panelists here. And when they asked why I returned to ABL, I would have to say it was the people that I met during my interview, as well as my manager. And the passion for me in my work is very important. I need to love and enjoy what I do. I love interacting with the different clients that I have. It's never boring. It keeps me on my toes. I love doing the organization. And we have all these scientists on the panel, and they do the science, I just do the organization and make sure we do the budgeting and make sure we do deliver our products on time and on budget. So the culture at ABL is very family oriented. That is what really had me going to accept the position here. And I hope that each one of you will also think about what your passion is. Is it public health? Is it helping to get a product on the market to treat the patients? That may be somebody that you know. So I hope that this event will get you to know what ABL does a lot better, and that you will consider joining our team and work out your passion and be a part of this amazing group of people here at ABL. And now here is Hedrick, who is one of our manufacturing heads.
Thank you, Jennifer, for that introduction. My name is Hedrick Yamusa, Senior Director, GMP Manufacturing. I'd like to say good morning or good afternoon, depending on which part of the country you're joining us from. Just to go a little bit into what we do in GMP Manufacturing here at ABL. So I believe, as Joe had mentioned earlier, global company, two areas, two facilities in Europe, one here in Rockville. So to speak directly with respect to what we do here at Rockville, so we have three branches in GMP Manufacturing. We have an upstream, we have a downstream, we have fill finish, where we are able to process various types of technologies. We have adherent technologies, we have bioreactor technologies, we have a new technology called the Isellus 500 or an Isellus Nano, which is part of the adherent technology group. And so we have a fairly diverse train or ability to work with the various types of facility processes out there. We perform gene therapies. We use oncolytic vectors, vaccines, and some immunotherapies here. And so basically what I'm looking for here, we have some opportunities open, as a matter of fact, in all different, all our 3 areas. We're looking for entry to mid-level positions in the GMP upstream, downstream, as well as fill finish. Just to speak a little bit about the work ethic that we have here, we are very client oriented. I believe we have a very good communication structure, which we communicate directly with our clients through our project manager, as Jennifer had mentioned. And we have quite a bit of expertise in the field. So if there are any type of technical issues or questions that may arise, we are very quick to respond to those relatively quickly. The philosophy that I'd like to present here is that we are a very mid-size company or facility, which we have a very concentrated amount of expertise in various different fields in the current biotechnology marketplace. And so I think it would bode for very well if we are able to bring in a lot of these new clients that we hope to bring in. We also have something here that I think is very paramount, and that is flexibility. We are very flexible in terms of manufacturing timelines and processes. Whether it's a scale up or scale down operation, we are always able to accommodate. This goes from upstream as well as downstream, as well as fill finish. Some other things I'd like to touch on would be a sense of balance in terms of the work ethic with respect to time management, the work-life balance. I think ABL does very well. We're very flexible in terms of work-life balance. So as much as we are able to accommodate quite a bit of work here, we also are able to provide quite a bit of free time in terms of taking care of things outside of work. So I believe ABL is a very family-oriented company where we are able to sort of work with whatever issues may arise, work-related or not. So specifically with respect to personnel and the job duties, we have quite a bit of training here that we go through. And we emphasize, of course, first done right the first time. So our training is fairly rigorous. We do have hands-on as well as typical SOPs that we train our personnel on. And so with the emphasis of course on GMP aseptic technique, aseptic manipulations, we also have a philosophy of continuous improvement, right? So that we're always in a position to learn and improve upon ourselves with anything that it is that we do. So we do welcome you to look at our website, apply for any position that you see available, and contact any one of us. If you're interested in anything that you see on there. So once again, we have positions upstream, downstream, fill finish, or GMP experience, deviation writing, and that sort of thing. So there should be something for everyone here at ABL to find interest in. So thank you, and I'll pass it on to the next individual, which would be Diane, our HR director. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hedrick. Hedrick is one of the busiest people at ABL. He oversees our entire manufacturing group. And as he's doing this event, he's simultaneously working at the same time and answering questions from his team. So many thanks to Hedrick and the rest of the team for being here. I'm Diana. I'm the director of HR at ABL. I have the pleasure of working with these individuals every single day. And we're so happy to have this opportunity to share their talent, their experience, and knowledge with each of the attendees here today. I've been with the ABL since the summer, and it's really just been a fantastic experience for me. And we always try to tell participants and candidates such as yourself what it's like to be at ABL. And that's why it was important for everybody here today to tell you a little bit about our culture and who we are, and really why you should join our team. As everybody has mentioned, we have a lot of job opportunities available in all the different groups that you heard of today, and more coming up in the pipeline. So please check out our website. If you didn't maybe hear a job opening that you were interested in today, that doesn't mean we won't have the job you're looking for tomorrow. So if you are interested in reaching out, you can reach out to any of the candidates today, or you can reach out to hr@ablinc.com, and anybody from my team will be happy to assist you. I wanted to thank Jarlath, Stephen, Isabel, Tim, Tom, Jennifer, Hedrick again for participating in the panel. And also Elle and Kyle, who I'll introduce you to in just a second. They are my team in the HR department, and they are sitting on the background answering all of your questions today. And also Chris, Adam, Andrew, and the rest of the BioBuzz team. This has been a great opportunity for us to share and connect with each of you, and we hope that we can do this more often in the future. So without further ado, I'll introduce you quickly to Kyle and Elle, and then we'll let Chris take back over the reins. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to hearing from you soon.
Hey, I'm Kyle Reagan, HR generalist at ABL Inc. So just wanted to introduce myself real quick and hand myself over to Elle.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elle Columbell, and I am the Senior Talent Acquisition Business Specialist. So let's go live with some Q&A.
Fantastic.
Sound
Well, this
good?
was, all right, let me make sure I'm unmuted. Can you hear me? Well, this was really great. I think before while we're on with the HR team, would someone talk to the attendees a little bit about what they can expect from an application and interview process with you all?
I think Elle, why don't you take this one?
Sure. Great. Yeah. Well, we do have a portal that folks can go into and complete an online application. Are you asking for more specifics, Chris?
Yeah, especially, Elle, you know, a lot of candidates often wonder, especially during this COVID era that we're in and within the pandemic. You know, walk us through what's a typical interview process like with the company, and from when someone applies, you know, how is your team engaging with them, and what does that interview process look like?
Sure, we are honoring all the COVID rules these days. So everything we're doing is virtual. We are utilizing various platforms to handle those interviews, but I think so far we're doing a pretty good job. The feedback has been good. Generally, what I'm seeing, and I am fairly new here at ABL as well, is we are doing phone screens initially, and then we will have a panel interview, possibly two. And that really is it. Again, everything is virtual.
That's great. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I want to put this question open to some of the hiring managers that are on the call. So I don't know who wants to just jump in and answer this, but maybe you can talk, what do you look for when you see an application or a resume come across your desk? What helps that stand out to you for an applicant? You know, what is it that really pops out that's going to make a candidate stand out in that application process for you?
I'd like to take that one. For me, I think the resounding something I hope everybody heard from all my colleagues is the passion we bring to this gig. And that's what I look for in the people that I am seeking for, at least for my group, and I know that my colleagues do for theirs. You got to love this. It's this hard stuff. This isn't for the faint of heart, and you got to bring a lot of passion to it day in, day out. And you know, we're trying to change the world, and we're trying to change, you know, bring, you know, cutting edge medicines to the world. And for me, when I read the resume or when I read the cover letters, I'm looking for that passion. And sometimes it's not in, you know, hey, I did this, or hey, I did that. It's something. It's different. You got to talk to us about why you want to do this, and that to me is key. And so that's what I look for. And when I interview people, I'm looking for that passion. And sometimes sometimes it's not, you know, it's not something they may have done in their previous job. It's something they maybe do outside of work. You know, maybe they're helping the homeless, maybe they're helping this or doing something else. That's the key to me, because that's the kind of person that I know is going to want to do this day in, day out.
Absolutely. May I jump in on that? One of the things that's extremely important to me when I'm looking at an interview, and I'm somewhat tough to interview, but believe me, it's worth the process. I first look at ability to do the job, and that should come out pretty quickly in the resume. The old saying that it takes 2 minutes or so to read a resume and you can tell a lot about a person. Absolutely. So we look for those key things first and foremost. But then I really hone in on, who do I want to work with? Who can I work with? Who can I think with? Who can I be in the trenches with? When I have to sweat through a problem, who do I want right next to me to help solve this? So culture is a big part of it. Those soft skills, the ability to communicate, the ability to solve a problem. So the moment I realized that education is not about memorization, but understanding something through and through so that you can communicate that to come up with some effective means, that revolutionized everything for me. So when I'm reading an application, I first ask, can you do the job? Then I ask, will you be a great person to work with? Because I may see you more than your spouse may, or your kids may, and you may see me more than mine. And I want to be able to say hello and good night with a smile.
Yeah, Stefan, that's a good one. Yes, you're working with these big guys a lot more sometimes than your kids and your spouse.
Right.
That is very true, and if you don't mind, I'd like to add the importance of looking at the resume and of course identifying the technical aspects of the resume. But the other aspect that may not necessarily be on the resume would be the ability to be a team player. As you can imagine, in manufacturing, there's quite a bit going on at any given time. There are 3 legs, which is the upstream, downstream, fill finish. And of course, there's the interaction with QA, QC, EM group, and so it's a very dynamic area to work in. You must have the right sensitivities or personalities to working within that culture, and above all is the team player aspect of it that I also look forward to. The team player aspect, and of course the dedication to the job, because after all, you are going to be working with members within a team.
Yeah, I jump in on that as well, Hedrick. I'll just say right now, one of the interview questions I always ask is, what can ABL do to help you to be successful in your role and in your future? Because it is a two-way street. We're looking for that passion. We're looking for that experience. But we're also, it's a two-way street. You're interviewing us at the same time we're interviewing you. And I want to understand, what are your passions? What are those things that you like to do? What are those things that you're doing now? And I think part of what I see is sometimes people don't know. They may not know what they want to do 3 or 5 years from now. And part of that is our job to help you discover what that might be, and give you the tools to be successful. So we're looking at those same drivers. We're looking for that passion to execute, to understand that, let's put ourselves in our client's shoes and understand the concerns, the constraints, the issues that we're dealing with, and how can you, as a prospective employee, help that client to be successful? Because when the client's successful, we're all successful. So no, that was a very good question, Chris.
That's terrific. Does anybody else have anything to add to that?
Maybe I should jump in here as well, given that the organization. And I very, very it's very humbling just to hear my colleagues speak about the passion, the commitment we have to the business, to our colleagues, to our customers, and it's absolutely true. But I sort of boil it down to, it's all about value creation. You know, are you willing to come to our organization every day and create value for yourself, for your colleagues, for our customers? You know, what are the values you bring to the organization every day? Why do you get out of bed and come to our business every day and spend your time here driving our organization forward, striving to meet the excellence that we need to deliver to our customers, deliver to the patients? And you've got to ask yourself a fundamental question. You know, can I create value? Am I willing to create value for ABL every day? And in return, my commitment to our employees and my commitment to anybody interested in coming to work for our company is that in return, we will do our utmost to create value for you. And whether that is through job progression, whether that is through training, where we have a program by which we can support education out with the business, financially, as well as from a time perspective. You know, we want to create value for you in return. It's not just about salary. It's not just about your benefits. It's how are you going to grow and develop as an individual, both professionally and personally. And that's our commitment. That's our mission to you as an employee of the organization. So, you know, that's how I would sort of answer the question. When you're coming in for that interview, you go back to the original question, which was, you know, what gets you noticed on a resume? That ability to demonstrate you can create value is key.
That's terrific. Yeah, it's almost you know, you want candidates to come in and not talk about what they've done, but what they can do.
Hey there, guys. This is Al. I just want to jump in and answer a question that came in around the hiring timeline. It happens to be a question that I get often. It's relevant because when folks are looking, I know you're looking. What I want to tell you is that we're very thorough with the hiring process. We always reserve the right to do better, be smarter. We are working on streamlining this process. As it stands now, I would say it takes close to 30 days. I think that's generous. Again, we're looking at all of our processes right now, and we are going to continue reevaluating, streamlining where we see it's necessary. I hope that answers your question.
That's terrific. Yeah, I want to build on something that several of you touched on, and maybe Diana, this could be a great question for you to kick off, but I think everyone might have some input on this. And you talked about, you know, Jarlath just talked about, you know, what can ABL do for you? I've heard several talking points about training and certifications and development. You know, what are the training pathways and development pathways that are established there at the company, and how do employees take advantage of those?
So once you're working with ABL, I guess the question is, how do they get trained and how do they move up within the organization or move across? And so my answer to that would be that we are a smaller organization, so it is a little bit more hands-on and a little bit less structured at this particular time, but it's something that we're working on developing for our future growth as we're learning and developing and changing. But I think right now when you come in, we have a system that's set up where we have a buddy that partners with you. It's usually a more senior person that's been with the organization that really takes you under his or her wing and teaches you the ins and outs and the ropes of the organization, as well as helps to answer any questions you may have, because it can be a little daunting to start a new job, especially one at a fast-paced organization like ABL. So I think we handle most of it that way, but then you'll get training when you're in the labs or when you're working. I know Elle and I are in HR, and I basically work with her to the extent needed to where she felt comfortable to learn the processes in and out. I know within Hedrick's group, it's very regulated, so they probably have very regimented documentation and processes and sign-offs for those individuals. And then in terms of growth, of course, we want people to stay within ABL. So once you're in a group and you like it there and you've learned it, if you want something more, all you have to do is communicate with HR or another hiring manager, even your own manager, and say, I'm interested in doing something more at the organization. And we would help that person channel that energy in a different way that they want to be fulfilled when they're here with us. But I'll let Hedrick and Tim and the other team members talk about how training is conducted within their groups.
Yes, thank you for that, Diane. So basically, as you had mentioned, Diane, GMP manufacturing is fairly fairly controlled area where everything, of course, needs to be documented. We have a training program that is partially online in terms of SOPs and also hands-on. Right. And so based on one's level of experience when they come in, you'll definitely will be going through the basic training, but when it comes to hands-on, that would be evaluated. And then, you sort of would be able to determine, and together with ABL personnel, how quickly you advance into the next level based on your level of experience and expertise. But definitely, as Diane pointed out, there's a very structured process in GMP manufacturing where you would, everyone coming in would go through, and that is constantly being revised to improve upon so that things become a little more streamlined and more effective.
Right. One of the things I love is, again, continuing to serve as a coach. I never really thought that the football speech that we got when we joined said, "This is football and it's going to teach you about life." I thought they were just saying a bunch of malarkey, but it is so true. And so the moment my teammates come in, my new hires come in, I ask them a very challenging question. I present to them what the immediate goals are and the objectives that must be met. But then I ask them, what are your short, mid, and long-term goals? I like to know how I can serve as a mentor and help direct them along their career development path. So in some regards, the training is regimented. And here at ABL, we also take that very hands-on personal approach where it's, let's sit down and once COVID-19 is done, let's have a cup of coffee together. Well, we can do that with masks, but let's have a cup of coffee. Let's talk, be completely open, be completely honest, and shoot for the stars. And let's find a way to help you first get out of Earth's orbit so we can get there. I truly, truly love doing that. And I'm not alone in that desire. And I've seen this being supported not only by my direct management, but all the way up through the executive branch.
So just to expand on it a little bit, I think part of the question, Chris, was also external. What other educational programs can ABL support as part of our career development path? So we have an external program, or we have a budget to support people who are looking to do extracurricular education. So we are happy to support people who are looking to learn, maybe do their masters, do their MBA, maybe their PMP as a project manager. Tom mentioned some of the quality assurance qualifications that his team have recently acquired. These things all require extra time. People committed to that, and we're committed to them to help them get through that, both financially and from a time allocation perspective as well. So it's a fairly well-defined project or program within our organization to ensure that people can educate themselves above and beyond the day-to-day needs of the organization.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I appreciate that. Sounds like a lot of opportunity there. We are coming up here towards the end of our time, of our, the 1 o'clock hour. So I just wanted to kind of finish with maybe a last thought, and not everybody has to jump in, but maybe as a last final thought for people, you can go around and, what excites you most about coming to work every day and what you look forward to in the new year with ABL?
Well, as Diane mentioned, if you don't mind me starting this conversation. So I'm in a very busy, dynamic environment, busy in a very good way. There's a lot of very diverse projects that come up. We generate batch records, we generate training programs for them. We train our operators, and then we perform the operation, and we're in constant communication with the client. And so there's quite a bit to do on a daily basis. And I also, the interaction with all the different support groups within manufacturing, QA, QC, Tom's group, QC, documentation. So it presents you a wealth of information and also a wealth of experience going through the GMP manufacturing program. So yeah, thank you.
So I get excited to come to work every day because I feel like I'm in a place that respects who I am and respects the feedback and what I have to bring to the table. It's been a really great experience. I also really enjoy working with all my coworkers. Everybody is exceptionally passionate and it shines through on a daily basis. Things get busy, but never slow, which is always a great thing as well. And ultimately, I like ABL because, as I think Isabel mentioned earlier, we're not too big, we're not too small, and we're in a position right now where anything you do has such an amazing impact. We don't have a lot of red tape. If you have an idea, you can dream it, say it, and then it comes to fruition, and you can immediately see the impact of something that you were able to implement. So what I like to say is, if you want to move in ready property where you don't have to do anything and you can just do your 9 to 5, ABL is probably not that place for you. But if you want to come somewhere where you have ideas and you see something and you have a process improvement suggestion, or you want to create a new form, or you want to, I don't know, value stream map something because you think we could do it better, all you have to do is tap Hedrick on the shoulder and say, hey, I have an idea. And he'll say, yeah, come on in, let's talk about it. Tom too, I know Stephen, I can see him nodding his head on my screen. That's the kind of place, if you want to be where you can engage, make a difference, and have your voice be heard, ABL is the perfect place for you. And that's why I'm excited to wake up every day and come to work.
Maybe I can conclude this with maybe one way of looking at this. I have to, as the CEO of the organization, I have to ask a question every day. Are we relevant? Do we matter? Does ABL matter? And I truly believe that if ABL, for whatever reason, disappeared off the map tomorrow, it would matter because we make an impact. We serve a set of customers that are striving to conquer the world's most challenging diseases. As cliched as that may sound, that's what they're doing every day, and we play a key role in that mission. If that doesn't get you out of bed in the morning and that doesn't make you excited about the fact that we can truly make a difference, and it would matter if this organization didn't exist, then yeah, maybe it isn't the place for you. So that goes back to the passion that everybody on this panel has really demonstrated today. That's who we are. That's why we're here. And I truly believe we make a tremendous difference. And we welcome anybody who's interested out there who wants to come work for an organization like ABL. Please look us up. Please contact our organization, Diana and the HR team, Elle, Kyle, etc., and start that conversation. And that conversation may lead to something extremely rewarding, both for you as a prospective employee, but certainly something rewarding for ABL as well, as we continue to strive to make a difference in the market and in healthcare overall.
That's great, Charlie. Thank you. I think that was a great way to top things off. And this has been a fantastic event. We're honored to be able to help you all connect with this community and share that message. I think you have a lot of people that are leaving excited today. I've been monitoring the chat. There's been a lot of engagement. So we want to remind all the panelists and everybody that we're going to continue to share this event with attendees and some additional content online. So we'll continue to help share your message, and that as has been discussed, everyone's encouraged to reach out to panelists to further discuss positions that they might be interested in. Diane, anything else you want to wrap up with today?
I just wanted to mention, I think the intent is for us to be on for maybe another 20 to 30 minutes after this event is concluded right here in the Zoom stream. So if you want to stay on, chat with any of us, you're more than welcome to.
That's great. So do we know who's available to stay on for a little bit? Is everybody available, or just a few people?
Yeah.
Sounds like Stephen will.
I think we have a decent grouping of people that are there. And if somebody is not there that you need to speak with, we're more than happy to get you in touch with them.
Fantastic. Well, again, we want to thank you from BioBuzz for joining us today, and a special thanks to everybody at ABL for a fantastic presentation and fantastic opportunity for so many people to get to know really what I think a key word I heard over and over was family, like what the family at ABL is like and how they can become a part of it. So with that, we'll conclude the formal element of the webinar, but we will be keeping things live for people to continue to engage and chat. I think one way we could do this, Diane, is if you'd like, if we want to open it up, if people have some questions, we can have them start that in chat, and we can we can give people the opportunity to speak. So we can open up as people have questions, we can open up that so you can hear them live and they can ask questions during this more informal section.
Yeah, that'll work. We're gonna go with it.
All right, yeah, that's what we're doing. So great. So yeah, so if any of the panelists do have questions or do want to stick around, please, let us know in the chat, or I think there's a way to raise your hand, and we can, open that up for you to engage with the panelists.
Oh, I feel like somebody might have their hand up. Maybe that's from earlier today.
Let's take a look.
Somebody did just have a generic question about the production process earlier. If somebody wants to, maybe Hedrick, explain kind of from start to finish as something moves throughout our organization.
Sure. So it really depends on the product, right? Typically, we have a PD group that if need be, the product goes through before coming out to manufacturing, or if the product is well developed by the client and they need some manufacturing, it comes directly to our team where we put out a questionnaire that the client responds to, that allows us the opportunity to formulate a batch record that's in alignment with the operation. From there, it moves on to a training process where we train our personnel on the process, on the product. And then it comes in and it goes through the manufacturing process, whether it be upstream. In some cases, you have just an upstream portion, and in other cases, you have both an upstream, then it goes down to a downstream where for further processing. Or it goes from upstream to downstream, and then finally to fill finish, where we have a final product. So it really does vary with respect to the product and what exactly the client is looking for in terms of where the end product is, whether it's upstream, downstream, or fill finish.
Someone has also asked about work from home. I think Elle was mentioning earlier, we're respecting the quarantine and keeping people safe. Our goal is to obviously keep our business running, keep our staff safe, keep our visitors and other external stakeholders safe when they're doing work with us. So yes, I think that work from home options are available. Obviously, if you're in the laboratory with Hedrick and his team, a lot of that work does require you to be on site. But in other groups, and when there's the opportunity to work from home, we try to get people to do that as much as they can right now with everything going on. And I know our leadership team, Jarlath, has really been proactive with it. If he knows that we need to keep people safe months in advance, he's letting people know, I want you to be safe, stay home. We're gonna make sure that we have proper protocols in place so everybody is safe. So hopefully that answers that question. Stay home, be safe as much as possible. When you are in the laboratory, you do have to be here. There's proper spacing, there's proper mask, gowning, training for those individuals and whatnot as well.
So Tom, there's a question regarding the quality group. And I see quality operations, quality systems. You want to speak to how your group is structured?
Yeah, well, actually, I was responding to Tanya, but we're split between our quality systems group, which includes documentation control, QA on the floor, and exception management. And those individuals support both internal audits, client audits, and CAPAs, deviations. We also have the client QA group that works directly with our clients. We have both the government group that supports Tim's projects, as well as the commercial group, which serves all of our commercial clients. One of the initiatives that we started last year was harmonizing and cross-training across the two QA client groups as well as working with the quality systems team. So they all work together. So if they observe or identify an improvement in a procedure or a process, they'll actually reach out and they'll work together in addition with any of the other functions that may be impacted. So we all pretty much sit together in the same area, so it's easy for us just to get up, most of them get up and walk right to the cube next to them, and if there's a question. So a lot of the continuous improvement projects or areas for us to better identify where we can improve are actually developed across the QA, client QA, and quality system. So it is one big family, really. So to drive those improvements, as well as working with our internal staff as well as our clients. So a lot of the work that we do, we directly interact with our clients if there's questions, if there's a need for improvements. We have client meetings routinely with our client QA group. Quality systems does engage in those meetings as well if there's specific areas or questions that the client has. So we as a QA group are very much customer centric.
We had a question in the stream. People are wondering if somebody doesn't have GMP experience, will ABL teach them that GMP experience? I think that there are some roles yes and some roles no, but opening that up to anyone who wants to answer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Diane. Yeah, I was in the middle of responding to that question. So it does depend on the level of the position as you're coming in. We are able to train personnel on GMPs, but one thing to recognize with respect to GMPs is that it is not a set of training rules or regulations. It's actually over time it becomes a culture that one must adopt in performing operations within the GMP space, right? So in terms of aseptic, you sort of have to understand what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing. So I like to phrase it as a culture that one must learn, right? So although we are able to provide you with the technicalities of GMP skills, right, and operations, one must also have the ability to adapt that culture and carry that on with them.
Tom, you want to comment for your group, or Tim, or Stephen?
Tom, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. We actually have introduced folks into the QA group that may have been light on prior GMP experience, and we've worked with them, provided them training. They actually went and received certification as well. It does provide them an opportunity to get their foot in the door, and they may have maybe prior educational experience, but they may not have actually had the work experience. So we have introduced staff into QA, and as we have with a lot of our staff, they have been developed further and promoted within the organization. So it is something we will definitely look at, and we work then when those folks come online to provide additional training to them to get them the basics that they need as far as from a GMP standpoint, as well as identifying those areas where they'll start to develop within the team. Some are task related, but it is engaging them to work within the team. And as Diana brought up earlier, we do have a buddy system. So when folks start, We do have a buddy that is assigned to them that helps them, answers questions for them, kind of gives them the opportunity to feel their way through the organization. Jarlath has a luncheon with all of the new staff as well. So, this is the benefits of working with an organization like ABL, is that you can engage. Jarlath has an open door. I mean, you can just, you got to knock. You should knock, but yeah, you can go in and you can have discussions with him as well as all of the leadership team. So it's really about how we can develop you and develop the organization.
Thank you so much. Well, there was another question that came in, if I'm okay to ask. It says, thank you, Chris and the ABL team. In the area of government contracts and supporting research that impacts public health, what experience do you seek? This is probably more for Tim.
So on the government contracting side, generally the folks that want to come into my group are usually PhD level scientists who are have completed usually a postdoc and have some experience working in science. And there's an interest in moving up through the typical scientific ladder to become a principal investigator. So the government contracting allows an opportunity for folks who want that track to grow in that field, to become principal investigators, and to be able to write and win their own or win opportunities to support other investigators. Now, the key pieces of information that we generally look for is obviously, you got to have good scientific acumen. You've at least published some. You may not have, won grants or anything like that, but you have a desire to work in this translational space, to help people convert their handcrafted scientific developed products into products that can be tested in a clinical environment. So walking them through that GXP environment to get them to where they need to be. So I'm not necessarily interested that you have some experience in that space, because most people that come to us like that or have a genuine interest, but they don't necessarily have the experience. So the rest of it will teach you, and you learn through working in the team and working with people like Tom, with Isabel, working with project managers like Jennifer and Hedrick in manufacturing, and over time you'll learn all of these things and grow as a translational scientist, and eventually move up that path to become a principal investigator in a translational space. So it's a very unique type of scientist. I find they're very unusual. Most of the guys I know are really into the basic science, trying to do your basic research. This translational research is pretty different, and I think it does take a bit of it's a different strain of scientist that wants to pursue this. And fortunately, we've got quite a crew here of guys that can do that here at ABL, and you can learn a lot from them, and that's benefit.
Tim, you also may want to just expand a little bit on the project management function within the government contracting arena, though.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned obviously the PhD scientist level acumen that we're looking for, but there's also another or track within ABL for government contracting, which is project management. And maybe you can describe a little bit about that role.
Yeah, so thank you, Jarlath. So absolutely. So we at ABL have, when we work on projects for the government, we usually have two people that are the primary people that engage the government client. And one is the scientist, and we also have their buddy, their key buddy is a project manager. And the project manager is, your right-hand person. They help you keep things organized. But the nice thing about the project manager is that they really are engaging the client and helping to facilitate a lot of the discussions and conversations around how to get their stuff through. And they're just fundamental to making those projects successful. And again, in those government contracting projects that we get, a lot of those individuals that we're working with have no idea how to get their product through to the clinical phase. And the project manager, it really is most cases it's the first time that these innovators actually know what a project manager is. They've never even seen one. They've never met one or talked to one. And here, for the first time, they're engaging somebody that's really trying to help them move their product through. Now, the scientists they're probably used to, but the project manager is a completely new entity. It's almost foreign to them. And it's a very interesting experience to watch them grow accustomed to, wow, that's a pretty cool job. And what's fun to watch is how young scientists, in some cases we get project managers who are PhD scientists who want to flip into being a project manager. But it's a real interesting, it's been a very fun thing to watch as some scientists from around the world that we work with engage some of our project managers who really understand product development, really understand how to get that thing through, and work real tight with the scientists to help that happen.
I'm one of those. I was a PhD scientist who spent time in project management and program management because I wanted to know soup to nuts how to take a concept and move it through to an end product. And I have other colleagues there at ABL who have their backgrounds, PhDs in science as well. So that knowledge that comes up here, we use it no matter what position you're in.
We have a question around diversity and inclusion, and this is actually directed to you, Stephen. It says, as a minority and a person of color, diversity and inclusion is very important to me. What steps has ABL taken to ensure equal opportunities in the workplace?
Easy question and not so easy question, but really easy. ABL hired me because I can do the job. They saw up front that my credentials were there. They looked at my history and saw productivity. Race, gender, all of that was a non-issue when considering me as a suitable candidate regarding these and regarding these. That said, another component that really encourages me about ABL, and I mean, I feel ABL's not paying me to say this. I'm teleworking from home right now, okay? I'm speaking right from my heart as I say this. ABL has embraced my personality as someone who thinks outside of the normative. I have my own culture, my own aspects. I come to work wearing different attire that's from my background, my culture. I wore a leopard hat in a business meeting yesterday. And it was internal, it was appropriate, and it brought about laughter within the group that said, hey, it's nice that we can show up and be ourselves. And I'm also an artist. I have an art company that where I'm out sharing art throughout the world. So ABL cares first and foremost that we can get the job done. The other matters about race and minority status do not impact our ability to do the job. And it's absolutely open to our culture being part of who we is. When we talk about passion, our passion is based on who we are and what our background is and what do we grow up with. I'm tenacious because that's part of my culture. That's part of my heritage. And I'm thankful that ABL allows me to express that all in a business appropriate, business friendly manner. And we learn from each other. So I have never once in all of my time at ABL had an issue with my race being a negative factor whatsoever. I walk into any door to pitch any idea as long as it is business sound and the science speaks for itself. I do it with a smile, just like I'm doing right now. And they don't pay me for this. This is me.
He's absolutely correct. He smiles all the time. Thank you
There we
so
go.
much, Stephen. Really appreciate it.
You got it.
Let me just jump in here as well. I think it's important that this is a critical question and something I'm certainly, as head of this organisation, very passionate about as well. I mean, I think if you were able to take a snapshot of ABL, if you cut us down the middle, you would see that we are just an incredibly diverse organisation. We are, to use a cliche again, the proverbial United Nations. I sat in a lunch about a week ago or 2 weeks ago now with half a dozen of my new colleagues, people who joined the organisation in the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks. So I met with them for lunch, and when I look around the table, it was incredible. Everybody came from a different walk of life. Everybody came from a different country. Everybody came from a different culture. Everybody came from a different creed, myself included. I'm an immigrant to the United States of America. I came from the United Kingdom, and I made the US my home. And so I consider myself to be one of those individuals that came to this country, came to this organization, and have been truly welcomed. And that is it, as Stephen said. It's not about anything other than, do you have the passion? Do you have the skill set? Do you have the want to be part of our organization? And we don't take anything else into consideration. So, yes, we have to meet certain criteria. We are a government contractor. We have to report metrics on our diversity and our inclusion. But I can safely say, without any concern at all, this is an incredibly diverse and inclusive workplace. And I'd be devastated if anybody was to state otherwise within the business.
Thank you, Jarlath. We just had another question come in. And it says, what are some of the scientific projects you've worked on, i.e. gene therapeutics, oncology, radiation, and neurodegenerative thing? Sorry, butchering the words here. And what skill sets will profit a person to perform well in those studies? Will experience working in a Department of Defense well, you guys are all killing me, immunohistochemistry project transfer well to ABL, or is it more industrial versus government research and so forth?
I can take some of that at least. So on the government projects that we have, it's a pretty diverse area. So one day you're working on a malaria vaccine, the next day on a E. coli vaccine, the next day you're working on an oncolytic virus. Now, some of those projects we're doing internally, where it fits our capabilities. So manufacturing a virus is a lot of what we do. If it's not, then what ABL's tasked to do is go find that special vendor who can make this stuff. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not so easy. And sometimes that can be, working with an outside vendor presents its own challenges. It's a whole new set of rules we have to learn. And this is why I was saying earlier, my partner in crime, if you will, Tom, is so fundamental to how we get this done. The quality aspects are so critical to both the in-source and outsource material. All right, so the projects are very varied in terms of what we work on, and the scope is also very varied. Sometimes we're doing just a master cell bank. Sometimes we're doing sometimes we're doing an animal study where we have to do some particular challenge with a virus. Other times we're doing a consulting work where we're trying to identify a consultant that can help out the government with the particular problem. It could be so many different things. And so to your point about whether a person has some understanding of immunohistochemistry can help out, yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of roles, I think, that where we need expertise in immunology that will support our work. So, our government contracting element that we have here at ABL is, again, very diverse and very, so to be honest, it's also a great opportunity for someone to grow as a PhD level scientist and potentially as a project manager, if that's something you want to do.
I just would like to say thank you, everybody. I have to drop off, but for all those who participated, we really appreciate it. To all the panelists at ABL, thanks, guys. Great job. And look forward to the feedback from this event. So, okay, guys, thank you.
Thank you.
So Diana, if I can add a little bit to to answer the questions to what Tim had said. So Tim talked about the government side, but I am more on the client side, the commercial, so to speak, the biotech. So it's really client dependent what we get, the type of projects that we get. So a lot of it could be on HIV, on melanoma, it could be mainly producing vaccines using viral vectors. So it all depends on what the market call for right now. Right now we're using a lot of viral vectors to develop as a vaccine to different diseases. So it varies a lot. So it's not specifically towards immunohistochemistry, so to speak. So that's a very, very specific and pinpoint set of knowledge. But it's useful to know how the cells work, and because our primary I would say material that we work with is cells, all kinds of cells, and that knowledge is very useful to produce any kind of materials.
Yeah, if I may, so we have, as Charlotte indicated earlier, we have the traditional CMO business, which is the group that Isabel works in, and Hedrick works in. And then we also have a immunology group that supports a variety of different projects, the immunological sciences. Mostly it's involved and engaged in supporting animal studies for different products from different companies. So your immunohistochemistry expertise could be useful there, but as Isabel said, we have a lot of different places that within the company that your expertise could serve. So,
right. I'd put it this way: we have contracts that come through. At any given moment, we may not know what's about to walk through that door. So there's a mindset that says, be ever ready. That means you come ready with your arsenal. You know how to do this, you know how to do that. You think ahead about what you may need to do, and you learn that. You put as many things in your Batman belt as you possibly can. So you have IHC, you're the perfect person who we would ask to do a project that involves ISC, no matter where it is throughout ABL. You can serve as a subject matter expert. But if you know how to do immunohistochemistry, guess what? You know how to pipette for PCR. You know what it means to have a dye and make sure it's appropriate, to make sure your acids and bases are properly balanced. You already know that, which means you're better prepared than you may think you are for any position. So it's not so much, can you come to ABL and do immunohistochemistry? The answer is absolutely yes, if there's a project that requires that. The more important question is, can you be versatile enough and open-minded enough and have enough drive to actually learn all the secondary skills that surround that, where you already have the foundation? Can you stretch your foundation? If the answer is yes, you'll have a home.
Okay. I think since we've lost Jarlath, we'll try to just wrap this up and let everyone get back to it. But we did have one last question and just wanted to throw it to the team. And when clients first come to ABL, what are some common problems they face when developing their process for scaling up their product? And how does ABL differ from other CMOs, CDMOs in this aspect?
okay, so all right, I'll attempt to take this one, and then I'll let Isabel or Steve take. So it depends on the challenge that we're faced with. So if a lot of projects that come to us and we do them internally at ABL, a lot of those have to do with virus manufacturing. So that's the specialty that ABL, that's the niche that we're in. So what we do is to approach that is to understand how the virus grows, what kind of cells does it need to grow best in? Is it suspension? Is it adherent? All those basic questions we have to ask that really help, and this is where Isabel comes in. She works to help figure out how to grow this virus and purify it in a way that could be used in a clinical setting. Now, how is ABL different from others? Well, a lot of times we're doing stuff that not only, it's not your standard issue, run-of-the-mill, AAV or Lenti. We're doing some stuff that's a little off the beaten path, or has got some stuff that's a little unusual. And this is where our expertise comes in, and we try to work with people that are doing things that aren't fitting into those standard platforms that everybody and their mother's doing nowadays.
Right.
This is the wrinkle that we bring to the table. Now, as I said, we also have a part of our business model is not only just doing this virus manufacturing work, but also outsourcing to other groups that may be doing things that we can't do internally. And this is a specialties where I eventually guess we're probably the only CMO that does this kind of work, where we try what we call outsource to other vendors. In this case, this is where we work really closely with Tom's group to find and identify vendors who can make some of these very unusual vaccines and biologics. Now, sometimes we get the old run-of-the-mill antibody. We get that, yep, and we do those. But often it's making a totally chemically synthesized nanoparticle. I mean, who does that? Can we find somebody to do that? Well, we go out and we try and find somebody. Or we might do this large-scale transient transfection process to get just enough product to figure out whether this thing will work in people. And again, it's just stuff that's off the beaten path. And I think what I like about my job is that I'm not working with the same thing every day. I'm working with something different every single time, and that's what keeps me on my toes. And it's fun working with people like Steve and Isabel, because every single time we're working with something completely different.
Absolutely. I'll leave you with this one image. I know it may be hard to imagine this, but imagine you walked into a store and someone came up and actually meant it when they said, "Can I help you?" They weren't just trying to make the quick, they actually meant it, where they said, "What are you really after? You tell me what you really want. And we know our store so well. We can help direct you to it, and even let you know some other things that might make your experience even better that you didn't even know about." That's one of the things that makes us different, where it's not just, here's a project, let's do it. It's, here's a project and let's dig into the nuances to help you get really what you're asking for.
Well put, Steve.
So again, thank you to everybody who attended today. Thank you, Chris and BioBuzz, for letting us stay on and just take a few more of these questions. We really appreciate it. If we missed a question or you still have more, please feel free to reach out to any of the panelists. I think our contact information, Chris, is on the event page. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, everybody's LinkedIn contact information is on the event page, so you can access everybody's LinkedIn page there. And I saw that you've shared the HR email address several times. If anybody does want to share their email address, they're welcome to do so in chat to give it to people. And we'll make sure we get an email out to everybody and to make sure that they have the easiest way to contact you.
Beautiful.
Great. Thanks so much. We really appreciate it. Have a good day, everyone.